Bang bang, recording 157. This is the second take of the in-car stuff that I cocked up the first time.
Hello and welcome to the review in a few. This is where we tell you everything that's important about a car in just a few minutes. This edition, the Fiat Tipo.
Let's go!
So, starting with the basics, the Tipo is a Ford Focus Volkswagen Golf-sized medium family hatchback. Except Fiat is very clear about this being the good value option.
I'm not rich, but I live like a millionaire.
So the Tipo range starts at 13 grand and goes to 20, while the Ford Focus pretty much starts where the Tipo ends. And it even makes the Kia Ceed look pricey. You can have the Tipo as a 5-door hatchback or 5-door estate. And in fact, the only way to get an estate this cheaply, that's roughly this sized, is if you go to Dacia for a Logan. Although the Dacia is so cheap, it's fairer to compare it to a posh suitcase than it is to compare it to other estates. But to come back to the hatchback, this is very practical, but virtually zero fun. There are 50 shades of grey in here, but all the excitement of a Ladybird book of bodily functions. It just feels a bit like under-engineered. It's like this steering's a good example. It's got this really horrible self-centering effect. Watch this. Turn. Sort of makes it feel like a tank on Caterpillar tracks. And it's not uncomfortable exactly, but there's just this sense of lumbering, heavy clumsiness about the whole thing. The ride's a little bit too firm and the gear shift's a little bit clunky. And even things like the pedal position and the bite of the clutch are both a bit wrong. Both set too high. But again, it is practical. The boot is big for this class. There's lots of rear space because the wheelbase is relatively long, and it has a variety of usefully basic storage spaces. But no frills. The glove box, for example, is flimsier than a Geordie Shore cast member's grasp of the English language.
We're having a raj time in Amsterdam. I've always wanted to come to Germany.
And if you're after conveniences like a twin boot floor, forget it. And that means that you don't get a nice flat loading bay when you drop the seats like you do with most family cars. But the rear seats are 60-40 split folding as standard. And look at all the places you can put cups and bottles. If you like pop, this is the car for you. Speaking of which, even the trim levels of the Tipo are dull. The 500X, for example, has two trim levels called Pop and Pop Star, which are a bit stupid, but at least they allude to the car's potential audience. People who have a subscription to OK magazine. The Tipo's trim levels, on the other hand, are more specific to Marks & Spencer's enthusiasts. Easy and lounge. Relaxing. And they're all well equipped, as you can see here. But if you want alloy wheels and a touchscreen multimedia system, you need to go for Easy Plus. That's a touchscreen multimedia system that's slightly baffling to use and whose screen is a little bit too small. In fact, it's a lot too small. Better get your readers on before you use it. It's just one more facet of the whole Tipo experience that feels a little bit low rent and a little bit basic. But going further up the range, the Tipo does start to look like a lot of car for not a lot of money. 15 grand's worth of petrol-powered lounge car will get you such luxuries as... But we wouldn't buy a petrol Tipo, we'd buy the electric version. Just kidding, we'd buy the diesel, obviously. Here's the engine range, which is surprising by virtue of its agricultural nature. It takes more than 12 seconds to shuffle to 62 miles per hour in the 1.4 petrol. And yet look how bad the economy is. And that's why this particular one is the best one, the 1.6 litre diesel. Its 0 to 62 time isn't actually that much better than the 1.4 petrols, but it feels much quicker because it's got nearly 3 times the torque. Obviously all the usual things about a small diesel apply, noisy, not very smooth, blah 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 blah. But actually, it settles into a nice thrum on the motorway. However, it is worth noting that despite all of this safety kit being standard, this is not Euro NCAP's favourite car. In fact, in an article entitled "Fiat Tipo, it's cheap, but is it safe?" the European safety body gives the Tipo a mere 3-star rating and states, thank you. To bring the car up to the protection levels offered by its biggest rivals in the segment, consumers should not pass over the safety pack. That's the safety pack that costs 500 quid but does bump it up to a 4-star rating. Although most of the cars you'll be thinking about in this segment are rated at 5 stars, regardless of option packs. And that, people, is the Tipo in a nutshell. You get what you pay for. It's what you're left with when you strip the Italianness out of an Italian car. Well, thanks for watching, hope you liked it. If you didn't, let us know. And if you did like it, we'd appreciate it if you watched the other stuff and subscribe.